start.
All right. So you mind introducing yourself?
In 30 seconds I can. But yeah, my name's Shoei Rakawa. I'm a graduate student here in Creative Services Management with the Department of Communication, and I'm also the Operations Director for WCUG Cougar Radio. I've been in position for, I guess, almost 2 years now, maybe 2 years, and it's been one of the greatest things that I think I've ever done in my life. That I had this innate want to do something creatively with the medium of audio. And WCUG, for all intents and purposes, every step of the way, as a volunteer, as a board op, as an employee or a staffer, has really kind of elevated or changed everything that I'm doing in like my work, in my audio work, now my visual medium work, you know, anything that I'm doing, WCUG has really helped elevate that for me. Hey, I'm actually done with my work now, so I can actually pay attention. I'd say easily 2 years I've been involved with WCUG. And that tends to be the case for a lot of students because the Department of Communication is located here in Carpenter's building, and a lot of students don't take their 3000 level courses until their junior or senior year. So a lot of the times we only get 1 or 2 years with students that suddenly realize we have a radio station. Yeah, so I mean, we have our 5 staffers, so you know, there's always 5 staffers kind of chugging around. On average, the kind of walk-in volunteers that we have, and this is kind of our biggest semester, because you talked about COVID, and so we went from like having steady flow of volunteers in the building to kind of like nothing. And we've had to rebuild that culture of like, hey, you can come sit in here, and like, hey, you can come hang out, you can learn, or you can talk, you can do whatever. So the number of volunteers that we have walking in, walking out, numbers wise, I can't tell you, because some groups are like 2 or 3 people. You know, we have podcasting groups that come in that's like 4 or 5 people sometimes. But I will tell you that when we operate, like our schedule is basically from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, with some Saturdays and Sundays and sports games and stuff. With that, on average, on any given week this semester in 2023, we were at a 75% booking capacity. So if you were to show up 4 times to the station, it would have been booked by somebody else 3 of those times. And so for us, that's huge. You know, I remember just a year ago, it would be like I'd be sitting in there by myself pretty much all day. No one would have come in, no one, you know, had any interest. And now it's like we're almost kind of kicking people out and be like, hey, it's production time, you know, y'all got to go sit in the green room. So numbers wise, you know, I don't really think the number matters, but the idea of what our capacity is in the studio, we're like meeting, if not surpassing the point to where we're going to run out of literal time to offer to students in our studio. Really, oftentimes our goal is to kind of intake any student who's interested in being creative or looking for that incubation space to kind of talk through their ideas. And our goal is to produce whatever they're thinking. Whether that is a radio show, a music block, a talk show, a documentary like this, we just want to kind of facilitate opportunities for things like that. So to answer the question, it's whatever the student brings to us. You know, we've had students that come in and they just want to program music, and that's perfectly fine. They come in, they want to do a whole rigmarole show, live thing, sound effects, you know, the whole shebang. I mean, we're doing the Batman podcast right now, right? So, I mean, there's high production value stuff, and then there's stuff that's just like classic radio. And so all of that exists and all of that can get done. But to kind of take all of that effervescent activity and turn it into, so what do students get out of it? I mean, more often than not, I really like to preach and teach this idea that it's okay to fail in here. So many of our academic spaces and so many of, post-academic spaces are contingent on not failure. Like, you can do anything except fail, except reality tells us that failure is a large part of our experience as people, as humans, as whatever. Through life, you know, if it wasn't for our failures, then we wouldn't, you know, learn just as much as our successes. And so I try and think that you leave WCUG with a sense of confidence, knowing where your limits are as a creative, as a producer, as a writer, as a director, whatever that may be, but also that you hopefully have something that you can take with you into that postgraduate world that you're proud of. You know, we really try and open people up to having those critical thoughts, those critical thinking, and that kind of those media conversations that maybe we're not having. But then we can also have like stupid talk or whatever. Like, we can kind of mess around and have fun, but then we turn on the mic and we do like serious, reporting. We do like deep dives into, intellectual property, and all in the hopes of just preparing the students for what's next. Because oftentimes students don't realize how well positioned they are, the kinds of power that they have, and how much influence they'll be able to have once they enter this postgraduate world. Because as content creators, y'all are the ones that understand what people your age are wanting to see, how you're gonna convince them to purchase things. And so as long as that's happening at WCUG, I do it every single day. WCUG is a student-led community radio station. It's not communications-led, it's student-led. So anyone can come in. We have volunteers from Schwab School of Music. We have volunteers from the game side of, computer science. We also have people coming in from art, all over the place. And so business as well. And so really what it is that media is pervasive in everything that we do. Regardless of what major you have, there's some element of media and media preparation or media thought that goes into whatever you're going to go into, whether it's nursing, whether it's health, whether it's, finance or anything like that. Media is somehow involved, whether it's like MSNBC or you're watching, some kind of health film that teaches the blah, blah, blah. You have to know these concepts and have to understand these things. And so I think that allowing and really kind of hoping that all students from all walks of life will come in really helps us as students be better people, because as these thoughts and ideas come across the radio waves, for people who might not even realize that these kinds of things are happening, or these kinds of conversations are happening, it really kind of, I think, bolsters our community, makes CSU in so many ways, the voice, the students, we're talking to our constituency, our audience, those that we really want to hear. And then also hopefully convincing other people within that same external non-communications major that they themselves can come in and make that same kind of content or something different, but that it's available to everyone, because media is literally everywhere. I don't think I can avoid it even if I tried. So with that said, we would never limit who can come in, because again, that experience is beneficial regardless of where you go post-graduation. What I would want to tell future students about WCUG is that WCUG always has been and always will be for students. There will probably be ebbs and flows in culture. There will be ebbs and flows in personnel. There'll be ebbs and flows in tastes and feelings. But the only thing that we can't give up is the fact that WCUG only exists because students keep coming in, because there's an interest in whatever mediums that y'all are interested in, whatever productions that you want to get done. Once that interest dies, WCUG dies. And so even for current, volunteers or anything, just spreading the word, talking, giving WCUG a chance, and giving yourself a chance to maybe put yourself where you haven't been, or to try media in a way that maybe you didn't realize. I was talking with another volunteer who's an astrophysics major, and I was telling them, I was like, yeah, your department chair has a radio show that's kind of syndicated around the Southeast. It would be kind of cool maybe if you could interview them, and then maybe you could go be a NASA spokesperson because you have all this media work. And sometimes those connections don't make sense until you suddenly get this experience and then those doors open. And so to all future students, don't be afraid about what's behind that door, because WCUG will always be here, and you can take a semester off if it gets frustrating. You can always come back and try something new and try something again.